Hey guys, welcome to PGI, Peter's Gaming Info. This is part 3 of Lords of the Fallen. So in the last part, if you remember, we got up to this like Iron Wayfarer guy, whatever his name's called, and basically he gives us this seed, and it allows us to plant a like a vestige, like plant a vestige seed. So basically, you can do a checkpoint wherever you like, as long as there's that grass like filled area there. So it's useful for you to just be able to set up a checkpoint and then just move forward. So if you remember, I was talking about Umbral, like the world of the dead. There's two worlds. There's Atsum, the world of the living, and there's Umbral, world of the dead, and they exist at the same time. They run parallel with one another. So if you end up dying and then going into Umbral, then you can always resurrect where you planted that checkpoint. So it's pretty useful and handy. So it's just me going through a new area, just exploring, looking about, seeing what's there, and just looking around, just like, smashing some crates, seeing there's some items and stuff like that to grab. You never know what could be about, so it's always worth a look. I'm gonna provide commentary obviously as I'm doing through this, but I probably won't do commentary throughout the whole thing. It's just to give you like the gameplay and also some just info on what's going on at certain moments. But this one I probably will provide quite a bit of commentary given the content that will be seen as well. So it'll probably be useful to provide quite a bit throughout this, but yeah, don't expect it consistently all the way through. So I think these type of enemies here, like this random one just throwing out flame sword attacks and stuff, is what's called an elite. So they're not your standard enemies and they're not your bosses. They're like somewhere in between basically. And I think this is one that I found. So it's just got more health than usual. It does more damage than usual, and it's got some funny sort of spinning attack thing that it does. Some spinning flame attack thing. So it took a bit of a while to take this one down. And I think sometimes I play a bit too cautious as well, so that's another thing. But I think in these games probably better to take it cautiously than just rush into things, to be honest. Because I think when I was first playing Souls games, that's what I was doing. I was rushing a lot, like it was an action game on like normal, easy difficulty, and that's not how you play these games, really. I mean, for some enemy types, okay, some of them you can, but for most of the part, it's quite calculated and quite learning the attack patterns. But normal enemies, sometimes some of them, depending on the different type of soul games, some of them can go down pretty easily or relatively easier than the bosses or the like stronger enemy types you would find. So it's me just using one of the mechanics, the Umbral Lamp, as I've shown in part 2 and part 1. This allows you to pin to the Umbral world, which is the world of the dead that runs parallel with Atsum, the world of the living. So you can shine that, and then you can look for items that you wouldn't find while you're in the world of the living. You can look for hidden pathways as well, or if there's a gate or door area that seems blocked, use the Umbral Lamp, and then it will sometimes reveal that there's a pathway through it or nearby. So it's a handy tool to use, really. And it opens up exploration, it opens up like different enemy types, and getting across to different like parts in the area. So I'm just going back down now to the vestige checkpoint that I planted, as you can see on that flower field part, whatever you call it. And I'm just seeing if there's any like upgrades I could be doing to stats. One thing I'll advise as well is always keep your stats, always keep like your attributes and stuff always or you always upgrade. Like, so if it's vitality, I would pump up vitality. That's what I did, and then I pumped up strength, and then I'll probably move on to endurance. Now I'm just looking through my equipment. I'm just like, okay, what have I got? Because when I did when you're going through, sometimes you just don't realize what you've got and what you don't have. And I picked up a few items up there before, so it's always worth having a look, and can give you an advantage as well against, in certain fights and situations. If you got the right equipment, definitely helps. So it's me just looking around the equipment, just seeing I've got the best one equipped at the end of the day, because having the best equipment in these type of games, soul games, it goes a long way. It really does. And it's just me checking through my quick items and just seeing what's available. There's some stuff where you can add on to do like more fire damage and stuff like that, further insight and healing items, your standard stuff as well. I really like the level design artwork that they've done so far for Lords of the Fallen. Hexworks have done a really good job with that. I really like it. Hexworks, CI Games, yeah, I think they've really done a good job on that. I really like it, especially up to this part as well. It's really good.
To continue to endure these.
So run into into a boss. Our first actual boss, actually. The previous ones were the first two tutorial bosses, even though your second tutorial boss you can actually beat, but not many people have done that. I imagine Ongbrow has. I didn't, and I just moved forward. But you can probably just replay that one and just try and beat that boss. But there's a secret ending as well, and there's an item that you get, so it's probably worth doing. But I don't want it to take just too long. I'd rather further progress, the game and stuff. So yeah, the boss here is called Pieta. She of blessed Renewal, and it's my first attempt. First attempt against this boss. See how it goes. So I think you always want to just sort of play where you're learning the attack patterns. It doesn't mean you have to hold back too much, but the first attempt anyway should be used, I think, to just gather as much information about the number of swings that this boss does, how are you countering, are you dodging, are you blocking, are you parrying, what are you doing to try and learn the enemy attack patterns but counter them as well. In these kind of games it goes pretty far. And just do expect that sometimes people can one-time bosses, but most times they don't. Expect it to be a learning process, and that's what it is. It's a learning process. So now I've learnt that the boss will do a projectile at one point, and then I've learnt, I can parry the swing if I get the timing right, or lucky. So as you can see now, I'm trying to parry, and what's happening is that I'm getting wither damage against me, and what that does is where it starts to chop down on my health. So that's what on the top left where my health bar is, the red bar, you can see it's been depleted and it's turning like white sort of, or grey, or light grey, or kind of colour, and that can be recovered once I attack back against the boss as well. I'll recover some. So it has a sort of, I think they called it rally mechanic in Bloodborne, where you would lose, you take damage and then you could attack back within a certain amount of time and recover your health. I think they called it rally mechanic in Bloodborne or something. Never quite got into Bloodborne. Everyone thinks a lot of people think it's a fantastic game, probably one of the best From Software games. Always thought Sekiro and Elden Ring were two of the best ones for me. But I didn't really even go through Dark Souls 1 so much or Dark Souls 2. I think I played Dark Souls 1 and didn't really get it and just gave up. And I think Dark Souls 2 I never tried. Dark Souls 3 I played for a bit. And then Sekiro was the first Souls game I completed. And then Bloodborne, I ran through a lot of it, but I just got a bit bored. I just wasn't too on Bloodborne. Lots of people praise it a lot. Yeah, so now I've learned that, you know, not only in his second form, he will make 2 clones of himself. There's 2 light clones, and they'll throw laser beams as well. So you know, just learning as you go through, learning trial and error really. You know, just taking note of what's going on and what works and what doesn't work is a good strategy for not getting frustrated. Now, so far, I would say I've enjoyed this game. Yeah, you know, so far I would say I've enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's up to maybe the sort of standard or level that you'd expect with a you know, a game like maybe Elden Ring, for example, or maybe Sekiro. You know what I mean? But this is, you know, this is that paying like sort of respects to, you know, Dark Souls, and probably merged with mixed with Elden Ring as well. And I think it's done a good job. It's brought some unique mechanics. This stuff I'm not too much of a fan of, to be honest, where it comes to some of the NPC and there's a sort of like, you know, these moth things that are just floating about. I think the NPC character should just be fully visible, to be honest. I don't really like that. Maybe it does become if you accept the help of that, but that bit I didn't really like. It's not for me, you know. But like I said, they've got their own unique spin on things, and they're trying to have their own identity, and you can't help but respect that. And I think you know, it plays well so far. You know, this boss was quite fun to play against. You know, so, and the level design artwork and the combat, the variety of build stuff and weapons and everything, it's good. It's good so far. So far, it's good. I'm enjoying it. So I'm going through my second attempt now. See how the second attempt goes. So now I've collected a bit of data to know a bit more about what I can be doing. So the swings are quite telegraphed, but it's still, I think, kind of really precise to get the parries in. I don't think it's as easy as even though they look like very telegraphed. I think to get the actual parry timing in, it isn't so easy. And once you do the parry, you get the big stagger. You can go for a big hit, and it will take off a lot of damage. Some people call it visceral attack, like a Bloodborne or critical hit or something. And it does a chunk of damage, and that's what I'm aiming for mostly, because then I can get the big hit in. And you can see a lot of health has already or quite a bit of health has been taken down off the sort of like, you know, one of the bars of the long health, because they're kind of divided in segments, sort of. You see what I mean? See, and as I said before, it's causing like wither damage, so I've got that white part against my health bar, you know. It's like chipping away health. There we go, there's a parry. See, and almost down to half health. Almost down to half health. And then the transformation happens into phase 2, which is what you saw last time, where she comes out with the wings. And then she does that attack that's always in the middle, by the way. Those sword attacks always land in the middle, you know. That's just to get you out of the center, basically, onto the side. Yeah, so one of her light clones will also do that as well, where it will do a close range attack, and then she'll summon those swords and they sort of, you know, track after you in a sort of curved way, and then she'll do that one just like she did in her first phase as well. Normally Souls games, the bosses normally had 2 phases, so when you get them down to about 50% as she's at now, they will transform into, you know, another state, or, you know, have another additional like attacks and stuff, or change their attacks altogether. So you see me there, I'm quick to attack back. Why? Because of what's similar to like the rally mechanic in Bloodborne, where you have taken damage, but you're at opportunity where you can just quickly attack and then get health back, and that's what happened there. So I've noticed that I'm thinking, well, I can get damage on you and recover my, you know, recover the damage that's been done, like the wither damage. However, it's still risky because, you know, if you get attacked within that time, you're not recovering anything. So, you know, it's like just use it, use it in a measured way. When you feel it's the right time to use it. Yeah. So that's the second attempt done. And just going back on it, I've heard some people really struggled with this boss. I mean, the most difficult bosses I've faced have taken hours, and I think From Software have always given the most difficult ones that I've really faced, unless it's Returnal. That game just finished me off. Like the second boss there, I just couldn't get past. But I found that game very, very challenging. But very good game, but very challenging game, and a game where it takes a lot of dedication, I think, because you have to almost like be flawless in your play from start to finish, you know, or the beginning of a level towards the boss, and then the end. That I think this boss difficulty was in the middle of being just about right and just about being challenging enough. I think for somebody who's a casual player, this would prove to be quite difficult, maybe very difficult. But if we're taking into account somebody who's familiar with Souls games, who likes the challenge, then this boss shouldn't be too difficult. But if you've never played a Souls game before, I can imagine this being extremely you know, challenging or difficult. And like I said, it's just identify, like, you know, for this one, identifying the attack patterns. You know, she's got these wide telegraph swings. You don't have to block or parry. You can choose to dodge. I'm choosing to get as much damage as I can and take the boss out. You know. And be careful of that. Before she does a transformation into phase 2 at about halfway health, what she'll do that like stab sword into the ground, and then she'll transform into the wing phase 2 stuff, and then she'll always do that attack in the middle where she comes down with a whole load of swords as she's flying past. So you just want to go onto the side. That will always happen. She's not going to change direction on that. And you see there, she summoned the light clone that done like a close range attack. Oh, and that one's a grab there as well. That's an additional attack she gets from going into phase 2, where she'll just do that. And you see there, she summoned the light clones again. Look at that. I just got finished off there. I got murked. And then she disses me off as well, saying something about pitiful nonsense. But that was there. It was just a follow-up. It was just, she done the 2 light clones. The laser, the blast beam, whatever you want to call it, comes out from both of them. I get hit by that, and she comes forward, and then she does that flying grab thing, stabs me, and then disses me off, and then throws. Yeah, it's just that bit. I was pissed. I just thought, no, like, I'm coming back for this one. And the funny thing is that when I started playing, I didn't know I was going to run into a boss. I was just thinking, oh, like this, I'm just running up, but I'm just going to play some Lords of the Fallen. And then I saw the area and I thought, oh, this is leading up to the boss that I've seen people play. And then I was thinking also that I've just come back from the gym, so I was thinking maybe I'm maybe a bit too tired for this, but I think just learn and stay patient with it, and eventually and question things, and eventually things just start to click, and you're just like, I've got I more or less know what I'm doing here. I got the tap patterns down. I've got my strategy down to try and parry as much as I can, get big damage, and then and not get hit, and then yeah. So yeah, so it's the fourth attempt now, because I don't know how many times I died against this one. I knew it was a few times, but I didn't know exactly. So it's the fourth attempt now. It's the fourth one. It just reminds me of back in the day well, not back in the day, but about a year ago when I faced what was it, Margit and Godric and stuff, and how much I struggled with them. They were just, God, they were really hard to beat initially. I think I just wasn't leveled up properly, and I wasn't using the right weapons, but they took me a long time to get through. But I thought once I get past Margit and Godric and Elden Ring, for sure I'll be able to take on the game. But the game does get harder as you go on. Some of the bosses maintain a certain same level of difficulty, and then some of them just get towards the end game ultra hard, especially if you're using melee, you're not using summons and stuff like that. Some of the bosses were, especially like Godskin Duo, and God, some of them are the Fire Giant, Godfrey. Godfrey fight was really sick though. Such a good boss. Should have been the last boss, I think, instead of Elden Beast. I didn't really like Elden Beast design. Anyway, enough about Elden Ring. So this is, I believe, the fifth attempt now. It's gonna take me some wax. And I'm trying to just see what happens if I was to use the Umbral Lamp. What would happen there? What would happen there? And you see there, I got a stun. Got stunning. But I think that's because I got a few hits of it already. So I think the way that works, I believe, is that the circle that's in the middle, if you look closely, there should be a certain circle that's in the middle of the boss, and there should be a circle that is on the outer layer of it, and I believe that goes down each time it gets hit, and then it breaks its posture. So I think if you give a number of hits and then use the Umbral Lamp to move the spirit to the side, then it will just like stagger, and I think that's what happens. But you have to get a number of hits in to break the posture that's around that circle in the middle of the boss. So it's like on the lock-on, you've also got a posture meter that surrounds it as well. Pretty sure this is the fifth attempt. So I think it's just me just trying to experiment with that. And just like, oh, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then I'm using the siphoning one and seeing, oh, what does it do there? And then you can see the wings. You can see the spirit of the wings there. So that's interesting visually. That the wings are always there, almost. And then it takes her going to 50% health, saying, okay, now I'm going to bring out the wings on her. So yeah, I think that's I think this is our sixth attempt now, I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. Don't have to exactly count it. I mean, I'm sure you guys can and have a good laugh. But yeah, I mean, I heard some people really struggled with this boss, like really struggled with this boss. But like I said, I think if you're coming from Souls experience, I'm not the most experienced Souls player, definitely not. But you know, I've completed Sekiro, completed Elden Ring with great difficulty. But I think you get a sort of formula or a certain rhythm that other people might not just be able to get. Because if I just jumped into this with no bloody idea, I'd be very, very like probably put off by this type of game. Like if I never touched a Souls game whatsoever or Souls like. So I think it's more for people who do like Souls. I will say that. I think if you're not a fan of Souls, then I mean, I'd still say try it out, but I don't think this game will be for people that aren't into Souls games. I think a game like Armored Core 6, even though, I mean, we're diverging, but that game, I think it's a great mech game and it's a great sort of Souls kind of like game. It has Souls elements in it, so I think that can appeal to people that just aren't strictly into Souls. So anyway, there's a nice parry there. But I'll still say check it out for Lords of the Fallen. I mean, it's got great visuals, great graphics, the combat is tight, you know, variety of bosses and everything like that. So do give it, whether you're like a sort of Souls, die-hard Souls fan or not, just give it a check. Check it out, you might like it. Might be for you. Might be a genre you actually decide to get into. Anyway, I'm taking a lot of hits here, a lot of failed parry attempts. Oh yeah, and by the way, when you resurrect, you will resurrect in Umbral. So this realm right here is the Umbral realm. And that gives you, and you've got your second chance to carry on. So she's going to come all the way down the middle again with all those swords. So you just want to go to the side, any side to avoid that, left or right. And she's going to be doing these telegraph kind of wide swings. But like I'm saying, even though it's telegraph, I think it's easier to just dodge past and then attack. But with the parry, you get the reward of breaking her posture and then getting the damage in. So now this is looking quite a bit better now. You can see through the learning process that I'm picking up on when to dodge certain attacks and everything. And it just feels like things are just looking much better now. In the 6th attempt, I believe. And you see I'm attacking there to try get back, recover some damage from the wither, where the health bar, the red health bar will go like sort of whitish. And that's your opportunity to, you know, get some damage on the boss and then have it recover, get some of that health back. You can see that change. And then I've got a parry in there, go in, get damage. So now it looks like we're flowing. It looks like we're getting into the rhythm. We're starting to understand what the boss can do. We're starting to understand what we can do. And, you know, both are equally important in these type of games. And it's a patient process, and it's a learning and patient process. You won't get the boss most times first try. Some people do one-shot the bosses, and that must feel great, blah blah. But you're there to enjoy it. You're there to learn. You're there to, you know, learn what the boss does and what you can do, and experiment as well. You can try different things. You saw me trying out the Umbral lamp, you know, and I managed to get a stagger at one point from distance. So. Don't be afraid to experiment, but you must understand what your opponent's doing first, if anything. And then you can start to play if you want. Like, count how many swings they do, count, you know, when they throw a laser beam, how many times, is it delayed or not? Sometimes, look, there's delayed attacks. Like, try be attentive to what's going on, and I'm sure you'll beat most of these bosses. I mean, I'm hoping my advice works for me because I'm going through this game. So yeah, hopefully it works out. So that's the 6th attempt. We've got the 7th attempt coming up, and yeah, so seven attempts. Well, the 7th attempt coming up. Okay, 7th attempt, I believe. So I'm trying to get a parry again on these sort of wide swings. Not getting a parry, but I'm recovering the wither damage. There we go, there's a parry. And you can see the significant damage done compared to just, you know, normal quick attacks. Or maybe even, you know, or even maybe one single hard attack. And there you go, more damage. Like, not even that far from, there's a bit more to go from half health, but, you know, you could see probably in 2 more parries you would get there. So you back away there because that's what she does. She'll stab into the sword at about, you know, coming close up to half health or half health, and then she'll transform into phase 2 with the wings. And she'll do the same attack again, going down the center with all the swords and stuff, as you've seen. And this is another thing as well when I'm talking about experimenting. She's in the air, so I've got range attacks if I press up on the D-pad to throw a spear or lance. So, you know, it's just like, it's experiment, you know, and just see what works for you. And just, but the most important thing I think is learning the attack patterns and stuff, and the timings as well. See there, summoned 2 light clones, dodged it, tried to come through with that grab, dodged it. So we're starting to figure out, we're starting to know what to do in certain situations with certain attacks. That's what's going on. And you see there, there's 2 sword attack there. The second one is delayed, and it looks like it does some area of effect where it affects like the area around you. So I just dodged past and just thought, yeah, let you do your second slam. You're still gonna do it anyway. Yeah. So you see 2 light clones, and now there's 2 swords, 2 royal swords summoned. So you want to be in them. You don't want to be anywhere in the center of those 2. Attacking again, get some recover on wither damage, and plus it seems like some time before they can attack again. And again, dodging those 2 light clones with the blast beams, and, you know, just dodging that on that grab throw. I mean that sort of fly throw they do. Fly grab. What this boss does. And yeah, you see some of the light clone again, and this time does a sort of close range belly attack. You see the two sword attack there, a bit of area effect, the delayed second strike, and just dodge past and attack to the side. And does that attack as well. Summons 2 light swords to the ground, and then they just sort of track you. See, got that parry in, nearly done now. Now, you know, we're cooking, we're flowing now. Yeah, I'm just being aware of what's gonna come next. I'm trying to get those last hits in right there. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to just run up there and trying to finish it off. Trying to get the parry in there. And then there we go. That's Pieta, Shield Blessed Renewal, you know, defeated for, you know, well, for now anyway. And yeah, that's the first actual boss fight of Lords of the Fallen. So very Souls-like. I don't think it's too difficult. I think if you're familiar with Souls games, I think the bosses, I definitely found Margit and, you know, the bosses in I think Gyobu and even Sekiro as well, much harder. No, especially Father Gascoigne in Bloodborne, that took me ages. So, you know, I think a hard boss, challenging, a medium stroke challenging boss, relatively relatively compared to the Souls games that I mentioned, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Sekiro. But I think a good boss, fun, good design, fun mechanics to kind of fight and get around. So I thought it was cool, and challenging at the same time, and probably just about right level of challenge if you've played Soul games and liked them and finished them. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. It's part 3 of Lords of the Fallen. Please check the posts and let me know if you want me to carry on with more Lords of the Fallen. I mean, there's Spider-Man 2 coming out at the end of the week, and I've got the access to Tekken 8 beta. The Tekken gods have said, yay, give Peter the access. So I've got a number of things I could be uploading gameplay on, Spider-Man 2, Tekken 8, or doing live streams. But let me know through the posts what you guys want. And don't hesitate to leave comments or, anything like that. Please leave some likes and subscriptions as well. It helps grow the channel. It helps me knowing that I'm on the right path and everything. So yeah, so at this point here, what we're doing is remembrance. So when the bosses are defeated, don't forget to transition into Umbra Realm, and you do that by pressing the L1 and square, or it might be L2 and square. And what you do is either one of the two. I think it is. I think it's L2 and square. And what you do is you transition into the Umbral realm, so you can pair around with the lamp, like I said, holding L2, and look around and find items or hidden pathways or stuff like, or ways to get through, like obstacles and stuff, like a cage door blocking your way, for instance. But you can also transition into completely into Umbral, which has its advantages, has disadvantages. Advantages are you can find other items, different alternative pathways. Disadvantages are number of enemies will increase over the time. As you can see, that eye that appears around the eye, there's a light that will fill, and when that fills up too much, what happens is that you will get an increase in enemies and enemy toughness as well. So you don't want to be an Umbra for too long. You want to get your stuff, get the heck out of there, basically. And so this is where you can also, more relevant to what I'm talking about with the boss, is that you can extract remembrance, which is like the memory of the boss, and it tells you a bit about the lore, and you can also get an item as well. So that's what I was doing previously by doing that. By you saw that soul that was there and extracted from it. So here we're just using another vested seed, and this is to create a checkpoint right here for us to use. So yeah, I called it almost like it was a bit early on the video, but like I said, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the first actual boss fight of Lords of the Fallen. Like I said, I think the boss is challenging enough for somebody who's got the experience of Souls games, in terms of not exactly a pro, I'm not a pro myself, but somebody who's beaten the games, or they've beaten a number of bosses and they know what to expect. I think somebody who just jumped into this, I could see how they could just struggle. I mean, it took me 7 times to beat it in about half an hour. But I will say, on Elden Ring and Bloodborne and Sekiro, it's been hours sometimes quitting the games until coming back and figuring out what's going on. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. It's been a blast to commentate, the boss and the game for you guys, and my gameplay and stuff like that. Like I said previously as well, please just vote on the polls. Let me know what you guys want. Like I said, repeat again, there's Tekken 8 beta that I've got access to now. There's Spider-Man 2 that's going to be out this weekend that I'll be getting on Friday. There I can carry on doing Lords of the Fallen. There's still the continuation of Cyberpunk if you wanted. There's a number of games that I can upload or stream, so please pay attention to the voting polls. They're there for you guys to get the most enjoyment and what you want to see at all times when it comes to gaming content. So let me know, and then I can provide that for you guys, because that's what I want to do ultimately at the end of the day, and have fun doing it as well. So the video, yeah, I mean, this part is almost done. I mean, I'm just looking at the items that I got from the boss. But anyways, yeah, please vote on the polls for. I've done some fresh new posts for polls of what gaming content you'd like to see and you enjoy watching, and suggest one. I think I've got an option for another game entirely. So take care, and I hope you come to check out, the next gaming content, whatever that may be. And yeah, keep warm. Take care of yourselves. Bye.